Roman Reigns has just been rushed to the hospital after a terrifying incident backstage that has left the entire WWE Universe in disbelief, and the Bloodline in absolute chaos. Just hours before what was supposed to be his long-awaited televised return to SmackDown, Roman Reigns collapsed inside the locker room hallway, no warning, no build-up, just a brutal, silent fall to the floor. Medical personnel were immediately called in, and what they witnessed behind those closed doors reportedly shattered even the most hardened professionals. And now, the Bloodline is falling apart from within. Sources backstage describe the scene as frantic. Paul Heyman, shaking, visibly pale, could be seen pacing uncontrollably, shouting for a doctor. Jey Uso was nowhere to be found. Solo Sikoa, silent. Cold. Almost like he knew something the rest didn't. And then came the whispers. Whispers of betrayal. Whispers of sabotage. Whispers that someone inside the Bloodline might have orchestrated this. But before we go further, let's backtrack. Roman Reigns had been absent for months. His WrestleMania defeat marked a turning point not only in his career but in the very soul of WWE. Many said it was over for him. That the tribal chief had been dethroned for good. That Solo Sikoa was the new alpha. But that wasn't the full story. Not even close. Because behind the scenes, Roman had been quietly preparing something. A return. A restructuring. A rebirth of the Bloodline under his image, not Solo's. And perhaps that's where the problem began. According to insiders, Roman was scheduled to make his return at the end of SmackDown to confront Solo Sikoa face-to-face. A power shift was brewing. Roman had been planning to publicly question Solo's leadership, to challenge the new order that had been established during his absence. It was meant to be a declaration of war, and the first shot was supposed to be fired live in the ring. But someone made sure it never happened. Roughly 45 minutes before showtime, Roman was found unconscious in a restricted backstage corridor, one that only a handful of trusted personnel had access to. There were no witnesses. No cameras. And no explanation. But here's where things start to get truly disturbing. Security footage that was captured earlier that day shows Solo Sikoa entering that exact hallway, less than 3 minutes before the incident occurred. Moments later, Paul Heyman is seen rushing down the same hallway, screaming for help. The footage cuts off. WWE has not released it publicly. And ever since that moment, WWE has gone into full lockdown mode. The Bloodline, once the most dominant faction in professional wrestling, is now completely fractured. Paul Heyman has gone silent. No social media posts. No appearances. Not even a statement. Jey Uso has allegedly left the arena entirely, refusing to speak with WWE officials. And Jey Uso? He was reportedly supposed to meet Roman before his entrance. But Jey never showed. What happened to Roman Reigns backstage is being treated as a medical emergency. But many believe it was far more than that. Theories are beginning to spread like wildfire through locker room whispers and Twitter threads. Was Roman poisoned? Was he attacked by one of his own? Or did WWE itself, fearful of what Reigns was about to expose on live television, intervene in the only way they could? We may never know the full truth, but what's coming to light is something far darker than anyone expected. Sources close to the medical team say Roman was found unresponsive but breathing. His pulse was shallow. His eyes barely open. When he regained consciousness briefly, the only thing he said, in a raspy, broken voice, was, "Don't trust him." No one knows who he was referring to. Was it Solo? Jey? Even Paul Heyman? Or, could it have been someone higher up? According to a backstage staffer who spoke on condition of anonymity, Roman had been unusually guarded in the days leading up to his return. He knew something was off, the source said. He didn't trust the people around him. Said the Bloodline wasn't what it used to be. That it had been corrupted. Corrupted by who? All signs point to Solo Sikoa. Since Roman's absence, Solo has seized full control of the Bloodline. He's brought in new allies, most notably Jacob Fatu and Hikuleo, and rebranded the group in his image, more brutal, more silent, more merciless. Roman's vision of a strategic, manipulative empire has been replaced by Solo's version of violent dominance. And while that may have worked on camera, behind the scenes, resentment had begun to build. Roman's return was supposed to change that. He was going to reclaim his seat at the head of the table. Or at least, he thought he was. But someone clearly had other plans. Paul Heyman, ever the master manipulator, was visibly distraught at the scene. For years, Heyman has served as Roman's wiseman, his closest advisor. But in recent months, his loyalties have grown suspiciously blurred. He's been seen speaking privately with Solo. At one point, he even referred to him on commentary as the new head of the table. So when Heyman broke down in tears beside Roman's collapsed body, was it grief? Or guilt? And what about Jey Uso? He was supposed to be Roman's final insurance policy. The last true loyalist. But Jey hasn't been the same since WrestleMania. He's pulled away from the group. Gotten erratic. And now, with Roman lying unconscious in a hospital bed, Jey has vanished. No word. No statement. No visit. If there was ever a time to stand by the tribal chief, it was now. So why is everyone gone? WWE has remained tight-lipped, issuing only a vague statement. Roman Reigns experienced a medical emergency backstage at SmackDown and is currently receiving treatment. We ask for respect and privacy at this time. But the fans aren't buying it. Hashtag Justice for Roman has started trending worldwide, with fans demanding transparency. Many are calling for WWE to release the full security footage. Others are questioning how such a catastrophic event could happen under such high security conditions. And then, there's Jey Uso. Jey has been silent. But some say he's the key to this entire situation. He and Roman had grown close again after months of tension. Roman had personally reached out to Jey about his return, allegedly asking him to be there when the confrontation with Solo took place. Jey agreed. But then, nothing. The rumor is that Jey got cold feet. That someone warned him off. Or worse, that Jey knew what was about to happen, and let it happen. For now, that's just speculation. But in the world of WWE, where betrayal is currency and family means everything and nothing all at once, anything is possible. Meanwhile, Roman remains hospitalized in a private, undisclosed medical facility. No footage has emerged. No press allowed. But leaked messages suggest he's suffering from exhaustion, elevated blood pressure, and what some doctors are calling acute emotional trauma. The trauma, according to one source, was not from the collapse itself, but from what Roman discovered before it happened. And that may be the most chilling detail of all. Because if Roman Reigns had learned something before his collapse, something powerful enough to send him into physical and emotional shock, what was it? Was it a betrayal? A secret plan? A hidden bloodline agenda? Or was it a revelation that everything he had built was a lie? We may never know. But what we do know is this: the tribal chief is down. And the empire is burning. WWE may want us to believe this was an accident, a health scare, a tragic coincidence, but the signs tell a different story. There are too many loose ends. Too many silent stares. Too many missing voices. And now, there is only silence. For years, Roman Reigns ruled WWE with calculated power and cold precision. He manipulated the system. He weaponized family. He controlled everything. But for once, he didn't see it coming. And if Roman Reigns, the most dominant force in wrestling today, can be taken out this easily, then no one is safe. The bloodline is crumbling. The questions remain. Who's responsible? Why now? And most importantly, will Roman Reigns ever come back? Or was this the final chapter in the reign of the tribal chief? In the days following Roman Reigns' collapse, the silence surrounding his condition has only intensified the hysteria. No updates. No footage. No statement from Roman himself. And yet, whispers grow louder behind WWE's polished curtains. Whispers that suggest this wasn't just a random health emergency, this was a warning. A message. Delivered not by chance, but by blood. Some say the bloodline was never united. That even during Roman's reign as tribal chief, there were fractures, quiet ones, hidden beneath championship belts and victory parades. Jey's doubts. Jimmy's resentment. Solo's ambition. And Paul Heyman's ever-shifting allegiance. But now, with Roman Reigns in a hospital bed, the cracks have become a canyon. And the question on everyone's mind is no longer what happened to Roman Reigns. It's who wanted him gone. Let's talk about Solo Sikoa. Since WrestleMania, Solo has morphed into something unrecognizable, stoic, colder than ever, almost detached from reality. His face gives nothing away. His attacks have grown more violent. And his leadership of the bloodline? Ruthless. Efficient. Unforgiving. To some, Solo was simply following orders. To others, he was creating his own kingdom. But now, many believe he may have gone one step further. Insiders claim that prior to Roman's scheduled return, Solo had been in closed-door meetings with Heyman and new bloodline recruits Jacob Fatu and Hikuleo. Meetings that lasted hours. Meetings that even Jimmy was reportedly barred from attending. What were they discussing? Why was Roman not invited? And more importantly, was this a coup? According to one anonymous WWE producer, there was already growing discomfort with Roman's plans to reclaim power. Roman had unfinished business, the source said. He wasn't just coming back to wrestle. He wanted the whole damn table back. But maybe, that table had already been flipped. The most disturbing rumor? That Solo knew exactly what would happen to Roman backstage. That the collapse wasn't a surprise, but a guarantee. Fans have begun speculating about a deliberate intervention. Online forums are buzzing with theories, everything from spiked energy drinks to sudden anxiety-inducing substances slipped into Roman's locker room. Is it conspiracy? Or is it WWE's darkest secret? Because one thing is undeniable, the timing is too perfect. Roman was about to speak. About to call out the very people now leading the bloodline. And now, he can't speak at all. Meanwhile, Paul Heyman, normally the mouthpiece of chaos, has gone radio silent. He was last seen at the hospital, entering through a back door, escorted by private security. No cameras. No WWE officials. No statement. The wise man who once knelt at Roman's feet has vanished. Which leads us to Jey Uso. Jimmy's role in this saga is perhaps the most confusing of all. He was seen with Roman just days before the incident, working out at a private facility, laughing, bonding. Roman reportedly told him, "I need you with me when I go back." Jimmy nodded. Agreed. But when the lights came on, Jimmy was gone. Some say he backed out. Others say he was warned. A few even believe he's the key player in this entire betrayal, an inside man torn between loyalty to his brother and allegiance to Solo. His sudden disappearance has not gone unnoticed. And now, Jey Uso, who's remained silent through this storm, has begun liking cryptic tweets. One of them read, "Not everything that bleeds is family." Was that a shot at Jimmy? Or at the entire bloodline? Regardless, the brothers are no longer unified. And WWE is no longer stable. Internally, officials are scrambling. They had prepared for a Roman Reigns return that would shake up SummerSlam plans. What they got instead was a media nightmare. A superstar icon hospitalized. A faction at war. And a fanbase demanding answers. Fans aren't buying the official story. The phrase medical emergency rings hollow. Because this wasn't a fainting spell. This wasn't dehydration. This was Roman Reigns. The tribal chief, struck down on the eve of a revolution. Let's not forget, Roman was about to go live. He was scheduled for the final segment. A 10-minute promo that WWE had advertised as the return of the head of the table. But whatever truth Roman intended to share, never made it to air. Some believe it was about Solo. Others think Roman was ready to call out WWE itself, to expose internal sabotage, power shifts, and even the manipulation of storylines by executives to weaken his legacy. Whatever it was, someone wanted him silent. And now, he is. The most haunting detail yet? One of the last people Roman spoke to before his collapse was an assistant cameraman, an intern named Devin, who overheard Roman rehearsing lines backstage. According to Devin, Roman said the following: "When I speak tonight, they're not going to cheer. They're going to gasp." Was it a bombshell confession? An accusation? Or a goodbye? No one knows. The script Roman was going to deliver has been scrubbed from WWE servers. Staff were allegedly instructed to delete all rough drafts and rehearsal footage. If that doesn't scream cover-up, what does? Meanwhile, Solo continues to lead. Calmly. Mercilessly. Without pause. He appeared on Raw 2 nights after the incident, not to offer condolences, not to acknowledge Roman, but to declare that the bloodline is now clean. Clean. The word echoed across the arena. And many fans felt the chill behind it. Was Roman dirty? Was this about more than betrayal? Was Roman Reigns about to expose something bigger than just a family feud? We don't know yet. But what we do know is this: there is no return date. No video package. No countdown clock. Only silence. Roman Reigns, the man who made the WWE his yard, is now fighting to reclaim his throne from a hospital bed. And the empire he built? Is preparing to bury him. Stay tuned. This story is only beginning. A week has passed since Roman Reigns collapsed backstage at SmackDown, and still, no update from the man himself. No tweets. No hospital photo. No promo from a hospital bed. Only an eerie, calculated void, filled by silence, suspicion, and the slow, deadly rise of Solo Sikoa. But now, questions are turning into accusations. And the name that keeps surfacing at the center of it all? Paul Heyman. Yes, the wise man. The man who once called Roman Reigns the greatest of all time. The man who served him. Guided him. Protected him. And maybe, betrayed him? According to multiple backstage sources, Heyman has not responded to WWE's internal investigation team, nor has he returned messages from Roman's camp. He's apparently locked himself in a hotel suite in Philadelphia, reportedly refusing to speak with anyone outside of his legal team. Legal team. Why would Paul Heyman, if innocent, need a legal team? One source, who spoke under strict anonymity, claims that Heyman knew about Solo's coup weeks in advance. That he had been slowly transitioning his loyalty from Roman to Solo, not out of fear, but out of ambition. Because Paul Heyman doesn't just survive the storm, he shifts with it. And if Roman was preparing to expose not just Solo, but Heyman's double dealings live on air, it would explain everything. The sudden collapse. The vanishing footage. The gag orders. The press silence. Roman was becoming dangerous, not to WWE, but to the lies that had been carefully built around him. And someone had to stop him. Meanwhile, within the bloodline, chaos is replacing silence. Jacob Fatu, once quiet and deadly, has now begun dropping cryptic messages on Instagram, images of broken thrones, fallen kings, and phrases like, "The real king never needed a crown." Is that aimed at Roman? Or is it a warning to Solo? Even among Solo's ranks, loyalty is thin. Hikuleo was noticeably absent from Raw. Speculation swirls that he's grown uncomfortable with Solo's brutal leadership, particularly after Solo allegedly ordered him to erase Jey Uso if he ever tried to speak publicly. And Jey? Still nothing. But insiders say he's not missing. He's waiting. He's been seen training at an undisclosed gym in Florida, no Bloodline merch, no WWE team, just him and a trainer he trusts. And here's where it gets interesting. That trainer is the same man who prepared Roman Reigns for his Universal Championship comeback in 2020. A man Jey swore he'd never work with again. So what does it mean? Is Jey preparing to defend Roman? To avenge him? Or is he preparing to finish what Solo started? The deeper you dig into this story, the darker it gets. There's talk now, serious talk, that Roman had compiled a private dossier during his absence. A record of everything. Paul's dealings. Solo's secret meetings. Even WWE executives who may have tried to undermine his run as champion. That file, referred to by insiders as the Table Manifesto, was allegedly stored in a secure drive. And now, it's missing. Gone. Vanished the same night Roman fell. Was that the real target? Not Roman's body, but his voice? His truth? If that file ever surfaces, it could destroy careers. Expose alliances. And maybe even tear WWE apart. Meanwhile, WWE officials are scrambling behind the scenes. Triple H, who has publicly supported Roman in the past, has gone quiet on the issue. Internally, it's believed he's furious, both at the security breach and at the way Solo has filled the void without authorization. But here's the uncomfortable truth, WWE can't stop Solo. They've created a monster, one forged from Roman's own design. The dominance. The silence. The fear. And now Solo is using that blueprint to run his own empire. One that doesn't kneel to tradition. One that doesn't care about legacy. Only control. Only power. Only blood. And fans are torn. Some want Roman back, to reclaim his crown and punish those who betrayed him. Others aren't so sure he's coming back at all. Because what if this isn't part of the story? What if this isn't a setup? What if Roman Reigns was really taken out, and the people he trusted most, the family he built his kingdom on, were the ones who handed him over? For now, we're left with fragments. Hospital whispers. Security footage locked in legal vaults. Paul Heyman's silence. Solo smirk. And a single quote from one unnamed WWE official: "If Roman Reigns ever walks through that curtain again, it won't be for a promo. It'll be for revenge. Until then, the table is broken. The kingdom is burning. And the empire once ruled by the tribal chief may never rise again." But just when it seemed like all hope was lost, something happened. At 2:17 a.m. last night, an anonymous post surfaced on a dark web wrestling forum, one that's been used before by leakers tied to developmental contracts and insider storylines. The post was short. No images. No flair. Just 6 words: "The tribal chief is waking up." At first, it was dismissed as bait. Just another internet troll trying to stir up the Roman Reigns hysteria. But then something changed. Roughly 20 minutes later, WWE's internal network reportedly logged an access request from a burned admin code, one assigned to a deactivated Roman Reigns profile. The same profile used to upload scripts, edit promo material, and deliver audio notes for production. That account hadn't been accessed in months. Until last night. Then, gone. No uploads. No messages. No trace. Just one access ping. And suddenly, the game changed. Because maybe Roman Reigns isn't just recovering. Maybe he's watching. Listening. Waiting. If that's true, if Roman is alive, conscious, and planning something, then this entire situation turns from tragedy to thriller. And the fear now is not about Roman's collapse. It's about what he's going to do next. Because this isn't the same Roman Reigns who walked away from WrestleMania bruised and betrayed. This is a man who's been stripped of everything. His legacy mocked. his brothers fractured, his kingdom stolen. And history tells us that when Roman Reigns comes back from the shadows, people fall. The ones who took his crown? They don't just lose titles. They lose everything. And here's where it gets even more intense. Jacob Fatu, who had stayed loyal to Solo throughout the ordeal, made an unexpected move during a SmackDown Dark segment last night. Off camera, after Solo's main event win, Jacob refused to raise Solo's hand. Instead, he looked directly into the crowd and mouthed the words, "He's coming." That's it. No music. No angle. No lights. Just a quiet moment that every fan in attendance felt in their spine. He's coming. And if that's true, if Jacob Fatu has flipped, then Solo Sikoa's kingdom may be collapsing from within. Which brings us back to Jey Uso. Jey, who now finds himself in a position no one expected. The bridge between two empires. The only one left with the power to either unite what's broken, or burn it all down for good. Sources close to Jey have said he's been in communication with Roman's personal doctor. Not WWE's medical staff. Not the company line. But Roman's own physician. The same doctor who reportedly oversaw Roman's original leukemia recovery. And that doctor has gone off the grid. No contact. No interviews. No statements. What is he hiding? Or more specifically, who is he protecting? WWE has done everything to control this narrative. They've released sanitized press statements. Highlighted Solo as the new alpha. Even positioned Paul Heyman as a neutral advisor in Bloodline business. But the fans? They know better. And they're rallying. The movement online is growing. Thousands are now using the hashtag #WakeUpRoman TikToks. Tribute videos. Fan edits layered over broken throne imagery and slow piano versions of Roman's entrance theme. And in each one, the same message echoes, "We're waiting." Because no matter how much WWE scrubs, deletes, and spins, the truth always breaks through. And the truth is this: Roman Reigns was betrayed. Not by one man. But by a system. A family. An empire that feared his return more than his defeat. They thought they buried him. But maybe, just maybe, he was never buried at all. Maybe Roman Reigns has simply gone silent. So he can strike louder. Because when the tribal chief returns, if he returns, it won't be with pyro. It won't be with a promo. It'll be vengeance in human form. For every lie. Every betrayal. Every cheer that followed Solo's victory. He will remember. And when that door finally opens. When his music hits. When he walks slowly, deliberately through the smoke. The bloodline will pay. Not just in titles. But in blood. This isn't just a comeback. This is reckoning. And the only question left is, will anyone survive it? And now, it's no longer a question of if Roman Reigns will return. It's a matter of when. Because deep inside WWE headquarters, executives are panicking. Not because Roman is out of action. But because someone, possibly Roman himself, is leaking information from inside. Scripts have been altered without explanation. Graphics packages have been mysteriously overwritten. A SmackDown promotional banner briefly featured Roman's silhouette, then vanished within minutes. Production dismissed it as a technical glitch. But insiders are saying it wasn't an accident. They're calling it a message. A digital footprint left behind by a man who was supposed to be unconscious. A signal that he's alive. That he's watching. And that he remembers everything. Because Roman Reigns is not just a performer. He's a strategist. He built the bloodline from nothing into the most powerful force in wrestling history, not through brute strength, but through control. And now that control has been taken from him. Stripped. Mocked. Sold off to men who were supposed to protect it. Solo Sikoa. Paul Heyman. Even Jey Uso. But the scariest man in wrestling isn't the loudest. He's the one who plans in silence. And that silence is beginning to crack. According to one unnamed WWE executive, Roman had one final clause in his contract. A clause that very few people were ever made aware of. It's called the crisis return trigger. What does it mean? In short, if Roman Reigns is medically cleared, and WWE enters what's deemed a narrative crisis, he can bypass creative control, override the booking schedule, and appear unannounced, without prior approval, at any televised event. No script. No agent. Just Roman. If the rumors are true, this clause was written in during the peak of his title run. When Roman feared that if he were ever injured, his character would be mishandled in his absence. That clause may now be active. And if that's the case, there is nothing WWE can do to stop him. Not even Triple H. Not even Nick Khan. And that may explain the sudden shift in tone on WWE programming. On Raw, there was no mention of Roman at all. No tribute. No concern. Nothing. It was as if the company was avoiding the subject, afraid that even uttering his name might invite a response. But fans noticed. And more importantly, so did the locker room. Because now, people backstage are beginning to fracture. There's talk that Cody Rhodes has privately expressed serious discomfort with the way Roman's medical situation was handled. That he believes lines were crossed and someone needs to answer for what happened. Even Seth Rollins, in a quiet backstage moment caught on a leaked fan video, reportedly said, "He ain't done. Not even close." And then, there's the chair. On last night's episode of SmackDown, during Solo Sikoa's Bloodline segment, a throne was placed in the ring. Symbolic. Regal. A declaration that Solo was now the new ruler. But what fans spotted just moments before the cameras cut? The chair had a single carving on its backrest. 3 lines. Stacked vertically. A symbol Roman used during his early Universal title days. The production team swears they didn't add it. But there it was. Broadcast live to millions. Another message. Another reminder. The king might be wounded, but his mark remains. And then, just before the show went off air, a flicker. Just one frame. Less than a second. A static glitch in the bottom left corner of the screen. Zoom in. Enhance. It's blurred. But some fans are convinced it reads, "Believe that." His signature phrase. The final word spoken before he speared legends, stacked champions, and ruled the entire industry. If Roman Reigns is really behind these signals, if he's sending messages through hijacked servers, altered broadcasts, and coded production cues, then he isn't coming back as a wrestler. He's coming back as a reckoning. And no Bloodline member is safe. Not Jimmy. Not Solo. Not even Heyman. The silence is getting louder. The tension is unbearable. And somewhere, whether in a hospital bed, a rehab facility, or a private gym hidden from the public eye, Roman Reigns is watching. And when he walks back through that curtain, it will not be with gold around his waist. It will be with vengeance in his veins. And a score to settle. Because the Bloodline didn't just turn their backs on him. They tried to erase him. And if you know Roman Reigns, you know one thing above all else: you can't kill the head of the table. You can only delay his return. But once he rises, God help whoever tried to replace him. And now, the countdown has unofficially begun. Because while WWE remains quiet, the world is getting louder. Fans around the globe are uniting under one chilling rally cry: "He's coming for all of them." And deep inside that fear, especially in the locker room, lives one undeniable truth: when Roman Reigns returns, he will burn the entire Bloodline to the ground. Let's start with Paul Heyman. Once the mouthpiece of power, now a man trembling in the shadows of the empire he helped destroy. He's gone dark on social media. WWE has removed him from all promotional material. His weekly backstage appearances have ceased entirely. Why? Because the man who once walked behind the tribal chief now walks with a target on his back. According to one source inside WWE's production team, Heyman has begged for private security when traveling between shows. He no longer shares green rooms with Solo. He no longer visits the locker room. And get this, he reportedly demanded that the Bloodline's internal group chat be deleted. He said it was for privacy. But others say, it's because he knows what's coming. Then there's Jey Uso. Torn. Fractured. Lost. Insiders say Jimmy has privately reached out to Roman's doctor, not to ask how Roman is doing, but to ask when he'll be cleared. The implication? Jimmy wants to know how much time he has left before his big brother walks through that curtain. Because Jimmy knows, betrayal in the bloodline isn't forgotten. It's punished. And then there's Solo Sikoa. Still silent. Still dominant. But behind the curtain, showing cracks. Multiple reports confirm Solo hasn't spoken to Paul Heyman in over a week. His trust in Jacob Fatu has diminished, and Akulio, once seen as Solo's right hand, is rumored to be pulling away from internal meetings. Because even they feel it now. The pressure. The paranoia. The presence. Roman Reigns has become the ghost that haunts them all. And in the middle of this storm? Jey Uso. Perhaps the most unpredictable piece of the entire puzzle. He's been seen backstage, never on camera, walking through WWE arenas in silence. Not booked. Not advertised. Just watching. Some staff members swear they've seen him near production trucks. Others say he's met privately with Jacob Fatu. And one producer said he overheard Jey mutter a single sentence before walking away, "They forgot who started this." A reference to the early days of the bloodline? To the hell he endured to build Roman's empire? Or is it a declaration? That he's not coming back to save Roman, but to finish what they all started. Because make no mistake, Roman Reigns isn't the only one holding a grudge. Jey was humiliated. Tortured. Mentally broken during Roman's 2-year title reign. He bled for the cause. He cried under Roman's boot. And now? He may be the one holding the knife. So who can Roman trust when he returns? The answer, no one. Not WWE. Not his family. Not the company that let this happen. Not the fans who cheered when Solo raised that belt. This return won't be a hero's welcome. It'll be a reckoning. A storm. A purge. And it may already be underway. In WWE's latest internal calendar leak, an unnamed undisclosed asset has been added to the SummerSlam card under a classified entry. No name. No match. Just one line, segment blocked, 8:45 p.m., final order. Final order. Not a match. Not a promo. A command. Could this be Roman's return? Or is this something darker? Some believe it's tied to the missing footage from the night Roman collapsed, the hallway security tape that mysteriously disappeared from the vault. Others believe it's a final ultimatum from Roman himself, one last shot across the bow before he unleashes what fans are now calling the return of the real head of the table. Because Solo's reign? It's built on fear. Roman's reign? It was built on loyalty, manipulation, and mind games. But what comes next? It won't be political. It won't be strategic. It will be personal. Every chair Solo sat in. Every word Heyman whispered. Every belt they raised. Roman will take it all back. Not because he needs it. But because it was his to begin with. And when he steps out of that darkness, whether it's next week, next month, or at SummerSlam, he won't be smiling. He won't be posing. He won't even speak. Because his message will be written in pain. In betrayal. And in blood. The tribal chief is coming home. Not for redemption, but for revenge. And the only thing left to ask is, who's going to fall first? And now, the first domino may have already fallen. Because last night, just after SmackDown went off the air, a fan leaked footage from the parking lot outside the arena. No music. No stage. Just chaos. Security was surrounding someone. A hooded figure. Broad. Powerful. Calm. At first, fans assumed it was a production member or maybe a returning legend hidden for a surprise entrance. But when that person turned just enough for the camera to catch a glimpse of the jawline, the entire internet exploded. Because that profile, the bone structure, the signature walk, the slow, commanding pace, it looked exactly like Roman Reigns. In seconds, the footage was pulled. Copyright claims were filed. The Twitter account that posted it? Suspended. But it was too late. The image was already everywhere. Reddit. Telegram. Fan pages. Subtitles added one phrase to the moment, "He's here." And suddenly, everything changed. Because if Roman was at the arena last night, WWE kept it under the tightest lock imaginable. No mention from commentary. No hints from talent. No backstage reactions. Nothing. Which means either WWE is preparing the mother of all shock returns, or Roman is going rogue. Unscripted. Uncontrolled. And unapologetic. And here's where it gets terrifying, for Solo Sikoa. Because on that same night, Solo was backstage after his match, uncharacteristically alone. Paul Heyman was absent. Jey Uso had already left the building. Hikuleo was said to be off-site for promotional work. Jacob Fatu was scheduled but never showed. Solo sat there. In silence. Dripping sweat. Alone in the very Bloodline locker room Roman built. And a witness says Solo kept staring at the door. Waiting. Paranoid. Like he felt something. Because this isn't about who has the belts anymore. This is about power. Real power. Psychological power. Roman's power. And Solo? He's beginning to lose it. His last promo? Slurred. Rambling. Off-brand. For the first time since his takeover, he looked shaken. Because maybe, just maybe, he realizes now. This isn't a game. This isn't an angle. This is personal. The man he tried to erase is back. The father of the bloodline. The true head of the table. And Roman isn't coming to reason. He's coming to reclaim. And if that hooded figure truly was Roman Reigns, if he was there in the shadows, watching, measuring, calculating, then someone inside WWE let him in. Someone unlocked that door. Which means Roman already has allies. And that could make him unstoppable. Because a Roman Reigns working with WWE support is dangerous. But a Roman Reigns working against it? That's nuclear. And here's the final straw, a single chair was left in the middle of the SmackDown ring after the dark match concluded. No explanation. No promo. Just a chair. On the seat? A black towel with red embroidery. The same towel Roman wore during his last undisputed title defense. Nobody claimed it. Nobody touched it. Production quietly removed it when fans began filming. But the message? Unmistakable. He's not coming back to talk. He's coming back to sit. To sit on the throne that was stolen. To sit at the table that was flipped. To sit on the legacy they tried to bury. Because make no mistake, the bloodline is not Solo's. It was never Jimmy's. And Paul Heyman? He was just borrowing time. The blood. The sacrifice. The power. It all flowed from one man. And that man is about to rewrite everything. Not through speeches. Not through matches. But through war. Family war. WWE war. Legacy war. And when the lights go out. When the tribal chant hits. When the entire arena holds its breath. Roman Reigns will return not as a king. But as a storm. Uncontainable. Unforgiving. Unstoppable. Because he's not coming to reclaim what's his. He's coming to destroy what they built without him. The Bloodline's reckoning has begun. And Roman Reigns is bringing the fire. Now the only thing left to ask is who gets burned first? Solo. Paul. Jimmy. Jey. Jacob. Hikuleo. Tick. Tock. He's coming. And now, the world holds its breath. Because the final piece of this puzzle, the one that no one expected, has just dropped. Tonight, in a leaked internal memo reportedly sent to WWE's executive staff and creative team, a codename was revealed. One that's never been used before. One that has only 2 letters. RR. Not on the show rundown. Not on the talent sheet. Just printed, in bold, next to a segment labeled, Control Reversal, Priority Override. The memo was classified. But it got out. And when fans saw those initials, those 2 letters, there was no doubt left. Roman Reigns is no longer just a name. He's an operation. An internal WWE security event. A protocol that overrides creative plans, cancels bookings, and wipes segments clean from the run sheet. Without explanation. And it can only be authorized by Roman himself. So what does that mean? It means he's ready. Not just to return. But to take back what was stolen, on his terms. No script. No forgiveness. No mercy. The Bloodline betrayed him. WWE abandoned him. And now? He's coming with no leash. No leash, and no backup. Because if there's one thing that's become painfully clear, it's that Roman Reigns is coming back alone. No wise man. No family. No followers. And that makes him more dangerous than ever. Because what's scarier than a king with an army? A king with nothing left to lose. And in that vacuum of power, fear is spreading fast. Backstage sources now report that Solo Sikoa refused to appear in the closing segment of Raw next week. WWE cited creative differences, but the real story? He doesn't want to be in the ring when the lights go out. Because the lights are going out. Every arena Roman ever reigned over is beginning to feel it. Fans are bringing signs. Where is Roman? Long live the tribal chief. He's already watching. And now, someone's about to pay the price. Because what's coming next isn't a return. It's a strike. A calculated, methodical, surgical strike on everything that Solo has built, everything Heyman has whispered, everything Jimmy thought he secured, everything Jey thought he ran from. This isn't about gold. It's about legacy. And Roman Reigns' legacy? Was not meant to end in silence. It was meant to be written in dominance. In fire. In finality. So what happens next? Let me spell it out. There will be no theme music. No head of the table t-shirt reveal. No tease. No hype package. One night, maybe tonight, maybe next week, maybe at SummerSlam, the lights will simply cut. The crowd will erupt. And standing in the darkness will be the ghost they thought was gone. The tribal chief. And in that moment, no belts will matter. Because Roman won't be back to wrestle. He'll be back to punish. He'll punish Solo for the chair he stole. He'll punish Jimmy for the silence he gave. He'll punish Heyman for the loyalty he faked. And he'll punish Jey for not choosing sides. Because family? That word means nothing now. Not after the betrayal. Not after the fall. And when Roman Reigns finally speaks? It won't be from a promo. It'll be from a place of pure, unfiltered rage. He won't ask for acknowledgement. He'll take it. He won't beg for redemption. He'll demand obedience. And he won't rebuild the bloodline. He'll erase it. Line by line. Brother by brother. Brick by brick. Until there's nothing left standing but him. The real head of the table. And for those who thought he was finished? Who thought WrestleMania was the end? Who cheered when Solo raised his hands? You forgot the one rule of the tribal chief: you never bet against the blood. Because blood remembers. And blood always comes back. Especially when it's been betrayed. And Roman Reigns? He's coming for all of them. No forgiveness. No warnings. No mercy. Just one final message, whispered through every arena in the world: now, you acknowledge me. The storm has arrived. And there's no shelter left. And now, the storm hits. The first strike was sudden. Silent. Devastating. A backstage segment during NXT's surprise taping, never aired, was reportedly shut down mid-recording after the lights in the Performance Center blew out simultaneously. Not flickered. Not dimmed. Exploded. WWE rushed to blame technical failure. But insiders knew better. Because moments before the power cut, an audio spike was detected on the crew's monitoring system. 3 words, barely audible beneath the static: "I never left." And just like that, chaos returned to WWE. The footage has not been released. No one will confirm if Roman Reigns was present. But security personnel claim a shadow passed through gorilla position just seconds before the blackout. No cameras caught it. But multiple eyewitnesses, some now suspended, swear it was him. Same gait. Same gloves. Same aura. Roman Reigns is done playing games. And now, he started his silent war. No music. No spotlight. Just one objective: dismantle the bloodline. Piece by piece. Let's start with the first casualty, Jacob Fatu. Once Solo's enforcer. The wild card. The beast. He no-showed SmackDown. No announcement. No explanation. No call-in. WWE aired a pre-recorded segment pretending he was on assignment. But insiders have revealed the truth. Jacob was pulled from creative less than 48 hours after the NXT incident. Why? Because he received something no other Bloodline member has yet seen. A package. Delivered to his hotel. Inside, a red lei. Burnt at the edges. The same kind Roman wore during his title defense against Drew McIntyre. No note. Just a whisper from the past. A promise that vengeance was near. Jacob reportedly left the arena without speaking to anyone. WWE tried calling. His phone rang twice, then disconnected. Jacob Fatu has gone dark. And that was the beginning. Because Roman isn't coming back to reclaim. He's coming back to erase. And next on the list? Jey Uso. He's been spiraling since Roman's collapse. Sloppy. Distracted. Haunted. His promo on Raw was incoherent, cut short after fans began chanting "Where's your chief?" He threw the mic. Walked off set. And never came back out. Later that night, he was found in the parking lot alone, sitting on a crate. Hoodie over his head. Talking to himself. A backstage tech swears he overheard Jimmy saying, "It was supposed to be us. Just us. I didn't know they'd go that far." What does it mean? Did Jimmy know something? Did he agree to the plan, but not the execution? Because that's the most disturbing theory yet, that the bloodline collapse wasn't spontaneous. It was a coup. One planned by Solo, executed with Paul Heyman's blessing, and tolerated by Jey Uso, on the promise that Roman wouldn't be harmed. But he was. And now Jimmy can't sleep. Because he knows what happens to traitors in this family. They bleed. And then, there's Solo. Still standing. Still unshaken, at least on the surface. But we're now hearing that Solo has requested a private meeting with WWE's legal team. Why? Because Roman's return may be more than a storyline. It may trigger a contractual reset. Remember the crisis return trigger? That clause gives Roman not just creative override. It gives him the power to terminate internal alliances, including ones WWE has no say over. And Solo's leadership of the Bloodline? Technically illegal under Roman's private charter. Which means Solo could be stripped of everything overnight. And he knows it. So what does Solo do now? Dig deeper? Or run before it's too late? Sources say he's doing neither. He's building a wall. He's contacted outside help, unnamed Samoan wrestlers not currently contracted to WWE. He's planning something. A final defense. Because Solo doesn't want to fight Roman in the ring. He wants to ambush him. One final act to prove the throne is his. But that plan? It might already be too late. Because Roman doesn't need a match. He doesn't need an angle. He doesn't even need a contract. All he needs is a door. And when it opens, the world will end. Not in a flash. But in slow, deliberate, calculated devastation. Roman Reigns is not returning as the face of WWE. He's returning as its reaper. And the Bloodline? They are the first souls on his list. Because this isn't just revenge. It's justice. And the next time Roman speaks, the words won't be written. They'll be carved. Into legacies. Into belts. Into bones. The tribal chief is coming home. And he's bringing the end with him. And now, the end game begins. Because the next time Roman Reigns walks through that curtain, someone is going down. For real. Because all the symbols, all the teases, all the cryptic messages, they were just the warning shots. This next strike? It's the declaration of war. A war that has no alliances. No mercy. No forgiveness. Just fire. Let's talk about the final setup. This week's leaked creative script for the post-SummerSlam Raw reveals something extraordinary, a segment listed only as Retribution Table, reserved talent insert. No speaker. No entrance music. No participants listed. But marked in red, security detail required. This has never been seen before, not even during Brock Lesnar's surprise returns or Bray Wyatt's cinematic debuts. And what makes it more chilling? It was added manually. By Roman's override code. The system flagged it. WWE tried to lock it. But the trigger activated automatically. This means that Roman Reigns has booked his own return. No permission. No script approval. No production oversight. Just a warning, a seat is being set. And someone is about to be dragged to the table. Whether they want to sit or not. And Paul Heyman? He may be the first to feel the fire. Because in a shocking development, leaked texts, posted briefly by a rogue crew member before being deleted, suggest that Paul has reached out to The Rock's team for protection. Not support. Protection. Why? Because Heyman's betrayal wasn't just strategic, it was personal. He told Roman to trust Solo. He helped coordinate the rebranding of the Bloodline. And, if the rumors are true, he was the one who convinced WWE to remove Roman's executive privileges before his medical collapse. Which makes Heyman more than a traitor. It makes him the architect. The man who whispered rebellion into Solo's ear. Who comforted Jimmy with promises of legacy. Who told Jey he'd be free when Roman was gone. And now? He's gone quiet. Sources say he's pulled from all on-screen roles for the next 4 weeks. Why? Because even Paul knows, you can out-talk a champion. You can outmaneuver a locker room. But you can't outrun vengeance. And vengeance is dressed in black. And waiting. Let's talk about Solo one last time. He's dug in. He's recruited outside talent. He's fortified the Bloodline locker room with private guards. He's carrying a blade in the form of power, dominance, and intimidation. But here's what Solo doesn't understand: Roman Reigns isn't coming through the front door. He's coming through the walls. Emotionally. Mentally. Psychologically. Because when Roman finally arrives, when the lights go out and the Titantron glitches and that heartbeat echoes across the arena, he won't run down the ramp. He'll walk. Calmly. Like a man walking through the wreckage of a family he once loved. And when he steps into the ring, surrounded by enemies who once knelt at his feet, he'll say nothing. Because they'll already know. They failed. They thought they could erase him. Replace him. Survive without him. And they were wrong. This isn't a comeback story. This is a warning. Roman Reigns doesn't want to reclaim the bloodline. He wants to watch it bleed. And the only thing standing between Roman and that throne now? Is nothing. Not Jimmy. Not Jey. Not Solo. Not Heyman. Not even The Rock. Because when Roman finally unleashes what he's been building in the dark, when every betrayal, every silence, every stolen moment comes crashing down on live television, it won't just be a return. It will be a reckoning. A reckoning where loyalty is dead. Family is broken. And only truth remains. Roman Reigns is the truth. And when he speaks, the entire bloodline will fall silent. Forever. Tick. Tock. The tribal chief is here. And there's no salvation left. This is the fall of the bloodline. The fire has been lit. And Roman Reigns holds the torch. The question isn't who he'll destroy. The question is, who'll be left to watch? The end has arrived.